Welcome to Asia Ghost Stories, where chilling, mysterious tales from across Asia come to life. This is where the darkness holds more than silence, it harbors restless souls and untold secrets. Each episode opens a door to another world, a world of whispers in the night and shadowy eyes behind closed doors. Today, we uncover a story from an old apartment complex in Beijing, where Liu Fang, a young woman, unwittingly moves into the eerie apartment 503. An image of a sorrowful woman in an old photograph, flickering lights at the window, and the sound of footsteps in the dead of night, all lead her to a harrowing truth about the unjust death of a young wife. Join us as we dive into this haunting tale, uncover the buried secrets, and feel the chilling presence of lingering spirits. The Beijing sky at dusk was stained a vibrant red, the sunlight stretching long shadows over the rows of high-rise buildings. In the bustling atmosphere of the city, where the rhythm of life is always hurried, there was a hidden corner few noticed, a place where strange things still happened, things not everyone dared to face. Having only moved in a week ago, Liu Fang, a young woman fresh out of college, couldn't forget the chilling feeling every time she stepped into her newly rented apartment in the old neighborhood. Although the room wasn't too spacious, there was a strange sense of loneliness. It was known that this apartment complex, built in the 90s, had once housed many families, but after some moved out, the number of residents gradually decreased. The abandoned apartments were rarely visited, and Liu Fang had no idea she had unknowingly chosen one with a dark history. The story began when she stumbled upon an old photograph in a drawer of the antique wooden cabinet. The picture showed a family, but a woman stood separately in the right corner, her expression lonely and melancholic. Though the photo had faded over time, the woman's eyes still shone brightly, staring directly at Liu Fang as if pleading for help. During the first few nights, she ignored the strange noises in the apartment. A few times, she imagined hearing footsteps, or even faint whispers, but attributed them to fatigue after a long day at work. However, as night fell, the light from the window would flicker erratically, as if someone was standing there, staring at her. A week later, while cleaning, Liu Fang discovered an old rug under the bed. When she pulled it out, a gust of cold air rushed in, sending shivers down her spine. Strangely, the rug had a faint mark, as if someone had carved a drawing into it unnoticed. It was a circle, with lines inside resembling an ancient symbol, symbols she had never seen before. Feeling something was amiss, Liu Fang decided to investigate the history of the apartment. She went to see the old man living next door, someone who had lived there since the complex was first built. "You know, your apartment was once the site of a very strange story," the old man said, his voice lowering as if in fear. "You must be careful with what you find here. You're not the first to hear noises or see strange figures in this apartment. The woman in that photo, she died unjustly." Liu Fang tried to understand the story better, but the old man only gave her a cursory explanation before quickly leaving. However, his words wouldn't let her rest. Who was the woman in the photo? Why did she die unjustly? And why did she feel like something in this apartment was watching her? After the brief conversation with the old man, Liu Fang couldn't shake her unease. His words about the woman in the photo haunted her, filling her with suspicion and curiosity. Was there really a spirit lurking somewhere in this apartment? And if so, could she uncover the truth about the woman's death? Liu Fang decided to delve deeper into the apartment's history, especially about the family who had lived there before her. She rummaged through old documents she found in forgotten drawers. Finally, after a long day of searching, she discovered an old piece of paper tucked away in a book. It was a notice from the building management, stating that a woman named Li Tian had died in this apartment more than 20 years ago. Li Tian, according to the document, was a young, beautiful woman married to an older man named Wang Ming. However, their life was far from peaceful. Arguments became increasingly frequent between Wang Ming and Li Tian. According to rumors in the apartment complex, Li Tian was often abused by her husband, and on one occasion, she was even beaten so severely that she had to be hospitalized. But the most terrifying thing was her death. Li Tian was found dead at the foot of the building stairs one winter night. The police concluded it was a suicide, due to the stress and pressure of her married life, but there were no witnesses and no clear signs that she had jumped from above. Neighbors gossiped that they had heard screams from her apartment before the incident, and some even claimed to have seen a shadowy figure moving around at night in the very same apartment. Liu Fang became even more confused, but she felt she needed to clarify everything. She continued to investigate Wang Ming, Li Tian's husband, and learned that he had left the apartment complex after his wife's death, and no one knew where he had gone. However, according to a few longtime residents, a strange thing happened right after he left. People said that after Li Tian's death, no one dared to rent apartment 503, and some claimed that on rainy nights, painful sobs could be heard emanating from within. However, no one dared to interfere. Liu Fang began to suspect that Li Tian's death might not have been a suicide as the police concluded, but a wrongful death, possibly due to her husband's abuse. The next day, Liu Fang returned to apartment 503, the strange feeling still pervading the space. As she was trying to clean the old rug, a bizarre event occurred. The room suddenly darkened, although it was still bright outside. The lights flickered as if about to go out completely, and from somewhere, she heard soft footsteps. This time, Liu Fang couldn't mistake it for the wind or noises from neighboring apartments. She clearly sensed someone moving in the room. Liu Fang tried to suppress her fear and continued her work. But then, the mirror hanging on the wall suddenly shattered, and a strange, rancid smell emanated from the shards, making her nauseous. Before she could regain her composure, she saw in a fragment of the mirror the image of a woman standing behind her. She turned around, but no one was there. With her heart pounding, Liu Fang quickly left the room. She decided to seek more information from the longtime residents of the neighborhood. An old woman living downstairs told her that the apartment truly had a mysterious story. The thing is, Li Tian didn't die naturally, the old woman asserted. Once, I heard screams coming from her apartment. Then, Wang Ming came out, his face as white as a ghost. People said he killed his wife, but no one had any proof. Liu Fang felt she was getting closer to the truth, but the strange phenomena continued. One night, while sitting on the sofa, reading, the windows suddenly opened despite the lack of wind. A gust of cold air rushed in, and she saw a blurry figure standing outside the window, with glowing eyes, as if calling her name. The following night, Liu Fang decided to confront Li Tian's ghost. She prepared a small offering of fresh flowers, lit candles, and prayed. As she finished lighting the candles, everything around her suddenly became eerily silent. A cold breeze swept through, and a translucent figure appeared before her. "Have you come to help me?" the woman's voice echoed, weak and full of anguish. Liu Fang saw Li Tian, although just a shadowy figure, her eyes were filled with pain. Liu Fang realized that Li Tian wasn't a frightening ghost, but a tormented soul, yet to find peace. She had died unjustly, not by suicide, but from abuse and murder at the hands of the husband she loved. Her spirit wanted only one thing, justice. With the help of the neighborhood residents, Liu Fang found evidence to bring the case to light. After Wang Ming was arrested and the truth revealed, Li Tian's ghost finally found peace, thanks to Liu Fang's courage and determination. Liu Fang decided to continue her search for the truth about the apartment and the people who had lived there. After reviewing the documents she'd collected, she discovered something odd. Although the apartment had a long history and had housed many people, the former residents weren't listed in the building's registry. This made her suspect a cover-up. The next day, she returned to see the old man next door, who had told her Li Tian's story. This time, he seemed less inclined to hide anything. "My dear," the old man said, his voice sinking, "I didn't tell you everything the other day because I was afraid. But you need to know something. Li Tian's death wasn't an accident or a suicide. It was a conspiracy." Liu Fang blinked, surprised. What was the relationship between her and her husband? And why would he do such a thing? The old man sighed, looking around as if checking for eavesdroppers. The story isn't so simple. Li Tian was forced to marry Wang Ming, an old and sickly man. He didn't love her. In fact, he loved another woman. But for some reason, he couldn't leave his wife. One stormy night, when Li Tian discovered her husband's secret, she confronted him. They argued, and then, he killed her. Liu Fang's hair stood on end. So why didn't the police investigate thoroughly? Because Wang Ming had connections with powerful people in the neighborhood. They helped him cover everything up. Li Tian was the only person who could make him lose everything, both his fortune and his reputation. He took action. That night, Liu Fang decided to confront everything. She had prepared everything to perform a ritual, hoping Li Tian's soul could find peace. She lit candles herself, prepared offerings, and muttered a prayer the old woman had taught her. When the lights went out, the space became terrifyingly still. A cold wind blew into the room, causing the candles to flicker, and suddenly, all the lights in the apartment went out. At that moment, Liu Fang felt a cold breath on her back. She turned around, and the eyes of the woman in the old photograph reappeared, this time not just as an image on paper, but as a real spirit. Li Tian stood there, wearing a white dress, her eyes shining as if seeing through all the pain. "Have you come to help me?" Li Tian's voice echoed, full of pain. Liu Fang, though frightened, tried to remain strong. "I will help you. You must free yourself, let everyone know the truth about your death." Li Tian smiled gently, but the smile couldn't hide the pain in her eyes. "Thank you. It's been so long since I could tell the truth. But I can't go on my own. Only when the guilty pay the price can I find peace." Liu Fang immediately understood that to help this ghost find peace, she needed to find evidence to convict Wang Ming, the one who caused Li Tian's wrongful death. Liu Fang started searching for more documents and information from people in the area. Finally, she found someone who had been a friend of Wang Ming, who had witnessed the argument between Wang Ming and Li Tian on that fateful night. This person provided crucial testimony, and it was the final piece of the puzzle Liu Fang needed. With the evidence in hand, Liu Fang brought it to the police. Although the case wasn't initially taken seriously, once the evidence was clarified, Wang Ming was arrested. The perpetrator finally paid for his crimes. When Wang Ming was arrested and Li Tian's case came to light, apartment 503 finally ceased to be a haven for strange phenomena. Liu Fang didn't know if Li Tian's soul had found peace, but she felt a distinct change in the atmosphere. The entire apartment complex seemed unusually quiet. The unexplained sounds, the shadowy figures, were now just distant, vague memories. She no longer had to face the cold stares from the windows, no longer had to hear the silent footsteps in the dead of night. The strange phenomena Liu Fang experienced had stopped, but a strange emptiness lingered in her mind. Everything had completely subsided, and the air in the apartment was now so still that she could hear her own breathing. Liu Fang couldn't deny that the mysterious and painful events she had experienced had changed her forever. But those changes weren't always easily discernible, because sometimes, true battles aren't fought on the ground, but within the soul of each person. Every night, as darkness fell, Liu Fang often sat alone in her small room, gazing at the dim lights outside the window, reflecting on what had happened. She knew she could never forget Li Tian's eyes filled with pain, filled with a yearning for justice. Her death wasn't just a sad story of one person, but also a reminder of the cruelty and injustice in this world. The wounds Li Tian suffered in life seemed to remain etched in Liu Fang's mind. She knew that soul had endured so much, not just the abuse from her husband, but also the utter loneliness of having no one understand the pain she carried within. Even though Li Tian's ghost was no longer present in the apartment, Liu Fang still felt her presence, like an indelible mark. While Li Tian might have found peace, perhaps she would forever exist in Liu Fang's memory, as an inseparable part of her life. With Wang Ming's arrest and the evidence of his crimes exposed, Liu Fang thought she had accomplished something worthy of pride. However, what she had just gone through wasn't that simple. She realized that confronting someone else's past could bring justice, but it came at a great cost. Sometimes, souls that haven't found peace continue to linger in the earthly realm, not because they want to harm others, but because they only seek fairness. Liu Fang couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness when thinking about the ghosts she might encounter in the future. Souls yet to be saved, hauntings unresolved. She felt like a messenger, a protector of justice for the weak souls no one cared about. She had helped Li Tian, but who knew how many other souls in this city were crying out for help, seeking aid. She recalled the words of the old woman living downstairs, who had once said that not every soul seeks to move on. Some souls are trapped by dark secrets they cannot escape, and when suppressed for too long, they become restless spirits, unable to stop. Would she have the strength to face other souls, those with no one to help them? This question haunted Liu Fang, making her feel like she had entered a battle with no end in sight. She began to feel the isolation of her work. Although she had helped one soul, she couldn't deny that facing the world of these suffering souls had changed her, not just psychologically, but also in her worldview. The strange events she had experienced were no longer just eerie stories, they were lessons about life and death, about suffering and redemption. With these thoughts in mind, Liu Fang continued her life in Beijing, but every step she took in the city became more cautious. Every street corner, every old building seemed to carry its own story, souls not yet freed, still lingering in the air. She no longer looked at the towering buildings and bustling streets as an ordinary person would. Her eyes saw things differently, things only those who had touched the world of spirits could perceive. Every strange sound, every odd light made her wary. Liu Fang could never forget her conversation with the old man in the apartment complex. With worried eyes, he had once warned her of things she couldn't even imagine. The longtime residents of this neighborhood knew one thing: apartment 503, where Li Tian had lived, wasn't the only place where spirits hid. Other apartments in the complex also had their own dark stories, unfreed souls, and secrets buried in the old walls. The longtime residents were afraid to speak of everything. They feared that if they spoke, those spirits would come for them. And no one knew what would happen if those spirits returned. Liu Fang began to sense a truth she hadn't considered before: every soul has its own story, and each story needs someone to listen. She was the one who would have to confront these stories, and each story would help her understand more about this world, about life, about death, and about the souls still trapped in the earthly realm. One night, as Liu Fang returned home after a day at work, she stopped at the gate of the apartment complex. She saw a shadowy figure standing silently under the streetlight. The figure stared intently at her, its eyes glowing brightly in the darkness. Suddenly, Liu Fang felt a familiar feeling, a presence she had encountered before. But this time, it wasn't Li Tian. She didn't know who it was, but the coldness and mystery in those eyes made her understand that the story she was living wasn't over yet. Other souls were waiting for her, and perhaps she was the only one who could help them. Liu Fang sighed, deciding to step through the gate of the apartment complex. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face other souls, and perhaps, someday, she would find the answers to all the secrets in this city. Because she knew that in this world, there are no true endings, only the continuation of stories, souls, and secrets still waiting to be unveiled. Today's story ends here, but the secrets and shadows still linger somewhere around us. Thank you for taking the time to listen and journey with Asia Ghost Stories. If this story sent chills down your spine, leave us a like to let us know you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next chilling and mysterious stories from across Asia. We look forward to sharing more captivating tales with you. See you in the next episode.